My husband wanted to divorce me because of pictures of me hugging coworkers. It turned out that his best friend set me up so that her pregnant relative could trap him for his inheritance. When it comes to relationship posts like these, I know the internet can be pretty mean at times. I know how mean some comments can be because I've seen them, so please try to understand. Let me introduce myself quickly before I talk about everything that's going on. My name is Alex, and I'm 30 years old. I work in the legal field. My whole life has been turned upside down in the last month, and I need someone else's opinion on what I should do next. I thought Jordan and I were very happy together. He helped me through job changes, family problems, and even the time we had to live with his parents for 3 months while our house was being fixed up. We built a life together over 4 years. Everyone told us we would make it as a couple. We could always work things out together, even when we were going through the worst fights. Most of the time, over ice cream and dumb movies late at night. That's why his claims of cheating were so shocking. He suddenly said he had proof I was cheating on him, saying it was bound to happen since I work in a legal department dominated by men. This from the same person who used to be proud to say that his partner was making progress in their field. It still seems strange how it all began. He looked completely crushed when he got home 2 weeks ago. I remember making his favorite pasta because I thought it would be a nice dinner for both of us. He just said something about needing space and went to bed right away. I thought he might have lost a big client at work or had a bad meeting. It's always been him to think about things by himself before telling anyone, so I gave him his space. In a million years, I could never have imagined what was really going on in his mind. I might have been able to stop this mess before it got out of hand if I had known. The next morning, Jordan left before dawn, which was something he had never done in their 4 years of marriage. Only a text message to say he was late and had already done all the work. At first, I tried to make sense of it. Also, this was the guy who always joined us for coffee in the morning. He even got us mugs that matched and said "grumpy" before coffee. Things got worse after 3 days, though. He'd get home after midnight, way too drunk, even though he usually only had 1 or 2 beers. He even threw our wedding pictures to the floor one night and left them there. Jordan began to sleep in the guest room. The room we had spent weeks decorating for guests was now his place to get away from me. I could hear him get home late, grab his things, and shut the door without saying a word. It was bad enough that I missed him at home, but he wasn't even around on the weekends, when we usually went grocery shopping and tried new breakfast places together. I kept waiting for him to calm down, but in my heart, this growing distance made me feel like I was letting our marriage slip away. I needed to talk to him to find out what was going on, but how do you talk to someone who has turned into a ghost in their own home? I chose to go back to our old lunch surprise plan, where I would bring his favorite takeout to his office. Before all this, we used to do this every other week. He always got excited when I came in with food from his favorite Vietnamese restaurant. Friends of his would joke that we were still in the honeymoon phase. I got off work early, got him his usual order plus those spring rolls he can't stay away from, and went to his office. The person who worked with him told me that Jordan was too busy for lunch when I got there. After a while, I saw them both laughing like nothing was wrong at the cafe across the street. I did nothing but hold that stupid takeout bag and watch my partner try to avoid me. Because he said he needed help picking ripe avocados, I cried the whole way home in the parking lot of our favorite grocery store, the one where we went on our first date. I only got a text that night telling me he was staying with a friend, but he did show up the next morning. I thought for a second that he might want to talk about work when I saw him walk in with a file. No, though. He dropped the divorce papers on the coffee table right there in our living room, signed already. I am just waiting to sign. He was leaving her with a stack of papers that looked like they were just printed. They had been married for 4 years and had built a life together. At first, he didn't say anything when I asked him why he wanted a divorce. He wouldn't even look me in the eye. He used to talk about everything with me and stay up all night to talk about our smallest disagreements. Then he lost it and told me he wished he had never married me and that I had ruined him. The worst part was when he said I was cheating on him with several men from my office. I still carry around the movie ticket stub from our first date. I switched jobs last year because the commute made it harder to spend time with him. I tried everything to show I wasn't guilty for 4 days in a row. I gave him my phone, my work email, my laptop, and everything else that was digital to him. I told him he could talk to anyone at work. What's his big proof? A bunch of pictures that made my normally friendly interactions look sketchy. One picture shows me giving Chris from accounting a big hug at his farewell party. Jordan couldn't make it because he had to go on a business trip. Another picture showed Taylor and me having coffee at our usual spot. Taylor is my best friend from law school. The picture was taken at a strange angle that made our casual conversation look close. But keep in mind that Taylor is the same person who helped Jordan plan his proposal to me, and her partner usually comes with us to these coffee dates. It looked like the pictures were taken on purpose to make a scene. Even though Jordan knows all of these people and has eaten dinner with many of them, all of a sudden he saw everything in a whole new way. Because the whole thing was so silly, I started laughing when he showed me these pictures. The picture of the coffee shop? Just 5 minutes later, Morgan, Taylor's partner, showed up. We were waiting for them because they were stuck in traffic. After that, Morgan and I even went shopping and bought plant pots that matched. Oh, and those office pictures? I'm one of 3 women in a group of 20 people. Of course I work with male coworkers. It was only last month that Jordan was bragging to his family about how I was working directly with senior partners on big cases. His pride in my work was so strong that he even helped me get ready for important days. All of a sudden, every business conversation seemed sketchy. He seems to have forgotten all the times he went to office parties and met everyone. But what I said no longer mattered. He kept giving me divorce papers and telling me he wanted me out of his life. I showed him everything, my emails, texts, and phone. I even offered to call Morgan right away to make sure of everything. But he shut down completely, as if he already knew what to think. He then gave me 48 hours to leave our house, which was the last blow. The house we looked for months, and argued about where to put our furniture all night while painting the walls. He was now saying that he would go to court if I didn't leave. I had 2 days to prove I wasn't guilty, save my marriage, and figure out how my life had gone so wrong. In just 48 hours, how do you even begin to pack up 4 years of marriage? There was always something off about these pictures. Too well timed and too well angled. It felt like someone was following me around, looking for any chance to twist an interaction. When I found out who was responsible, everything made sense. It was Naomi, who I thought was Jordan's close college friend. I checked his phone while he was in the bathroom, which was something I never thought I'd do. I should say that when your marriage is falling apart and you're about to be evicted from your own home, you do what you have to do. Also, this is the phone I helped him set up, and that's where we shared funny memes and pictures of dogs we might adopt one day. It made me mad to look through his messages for 5 minutes. There was Naomi, who was slowly turning Jordan against me. With each message, they asked me about my whole life. What kind of partner gets coffee with male friends? Don't you think it's odd that they chose to work in a field where men are more common? She sent these little notes every day, which made me doubt her. The worst part? We tried to include her in our lives because I knew how important she was to Jordan. I would invite her over for dinner. Even when my friends said she seemed strangely attached to him, I stood up for her. So here she was, trying to ruin my marriage in a planned way, and my partner was taking everything she said as gospel. When I saw those messages, I quickly got my keys and drove to Naomi's house. That one where Jordan helped her move in last year, because that's what friends do. Before I talk about what happened, though, let me explain why I didn't think Naomi was the one who did it. We've had trouble getting along since the beginning of our relationship. She made it painfully clear from the start that she didn't like me. I still remember the first time we met in a coffee shop. I tried to shake her hand, but she looked at me like I was stuck to the bottom of her shoe. Her question to Jordan, "Are you sure about going out with someone like me?" was right in front of me. She talked about how fast we were moving behind our backs the whole night at our engagement party. She was even late to our wedding. She gave this weird speech about how she'd always be there for Jordan and then left early. Except for Jordan, everyone saw through her act. When I brought it up, Jordan would just laugh it off and say they were like siblings, but I always thought she liked him. He would tell me about how they went to the same schools and grew up together. He also said that she was protective. It was now clear to me how protective she could be. I should have known this was going to happen. She went up to Jordan at our rehearsal dinner the night before our wedding and told him he'd regret marrying me. Jordan brought it up in passing the next morning as we were getting ready, joking that Naomi was just being overprotective. That day was my wedding, so even though I felt uneasy, I pushed it aside. We're now 4 years later, and her prediction came true. It's not because I did something wrong. She was just waiting for the right time to take Jordan for herself. It made sense now why she would show up at our house without warning and say she was just in the neighborhood. When I got to her house, she pretended she wasn't there at first, which was very mature for someone who had just messed up my whole life. That door flew open faster than you can believe as soon as I told Jordan that I was getting a divorce. The way she looked at me with pride made my skin crawl. There were pictures of her and Jordan from college all around her doorway. Seriously, who keeps that many pictures of their friend? I got right to the point and asked her why she had lied to him about me cheating on him. What did she say? I'm only trying to keep my close friend from getting involved with someone bad. Help him? From where? Our game nights every week? Our plans to have kids? As she stood there, she pretended to be good, as if ruining our marriage was some kind of service for Jordan. Naomi wouldn't listen to me when I tried to tell her that her proof was just normal parts of my life that were twisted to look suspicious. Just standing there, she told me to let Jordan go, like it would be best for everyone. It was strange that she kept talking about their future instead of his. When I finally told her the truth and asked if she liked my partner, she became very defensive. The way she slammed the door in my face made it clear that she didn't mean what she said. This is the same person who cried at our wedding, not happy tears, mind you, and now she's planning how it will end. I tried one last time with Jordan when I got home. I can still hear the conversation in my head. If he had doubts, why did he never come to me? I asked him why he let Naomi tell him stories without questioning them. What did he say? Naomi has my trust more than you do. His college friend's word was more important than 4 years of marriage right then. As I sit here in our house, okay, I guess it's now his house, half-packed boxes lie around me. I have 24 hours to leave. The same house where we talked about having kids one day and spent our first Christmas together. Even though I know I'm not guilty, I still feel bad about what I did. I think I could have done something different. I've done everything I can think of to show that I'm not guilty, but nothing works. I need help right now. What would you do if your partner trusted a friend more than their own partner? That person has been planning your downfall for years. How do you fight them? I have no idea what to do and would appreciate any help. Update 1. Hey everyone, I'll be back in a few weeks with an update. To begin, I want to say how grateful I am for all the support in my direct messages and comments. Reading your stories and advice has given me hope when I'm crying at 3 a.m., which thankfully doesn't happen as often these days. Thank you so much to the person who sent me the care package with wine and chocolate. You're an angel. However, I need to quickly address someone who is claiming in the comments that I'm making this up. Seriously? I've spent the last 4 years building a life with Jordan, making plans for our future, and working my way up in my career while his mom makes passive-aggressive comments about when we're going to have kids. I don't have to prove myself to strangers on the internet who probably don't know how to take care of a houseplant. Okay, I know it's only been a few weeks since my last post, but a lot has happened that I need to talk about it. I really wasn't planning to write again so soon. Keeping busy with work and thinking about everything has helped me realize I'm not the only one in this mess. A lot of people have reached out to me with similar stories about how toxic friendships have ruined their relationships. Also, with everything that's been going on lately, I need to get some outside views again. The last 2 weeks have been crazy. My friend Sam has been a total saint through all of this, while I've been staying at her house. She hugged me and cleaned up her guest room without asking me a question when I knocked on her door at 11 p.m. with 3 suitcases and mascara running down my face. It's crazy to think that I'm looking for a new place to live, but she even helped me start the process. It seems like only yesterday that Jordan and I were arguing over what color to paint the walls in our bedroom. I won that argument, by the way. Sage green was the best choice. That's it for now. This is where things get interesting, and I mean like in a bad drama show. When your partner gives you 48 hours to leave your whole life, you can only pack so much. I had to go back to our house to get my laptop and other electronics. Guess who I see leaving as I walk up to the house? Naomi, who looked way too at ease in my old house with someone I had never seen before. Most likely, they were there to comfort poor Jordan, who was said to have been cheated on by his evil partner who checks notes and had male co-workers and friends. From the way they were acting, you might have thought Jordan was a wounded hero instead of an adult man who picked to believe his shady friend over his 4-year partner. It felt like I was entering a different world when I went back into that house. You know Jordan, the guy who used to text me heart emojis from upstairs when we both worked from home? He wouldn't even look at me. I tried to keep it businesslike by only bringing my stuff, but I couldn't help but wonder about the unknown person who had left with Naomi. When I walked in, Jordan almost ran upstairs as if I were some kind of virus he might catch. After 4 years of marriage, I'm just collecting my things while my partner hides from me. There were times when I had to leave our shared photo albums because I just couldn't handle having that talk. Sam kept telling me that I was hurting myself by being so obsessed with this person and that I should focus on getting better and moving on. Then, after 3 days, she came home from lunch with some bad news. She saw Jordan near his office with someone else. It was clear that they were not meeting for work. They were sitting close to each other at the small Italian restaurant where Jordan and I celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary not long ago. Sam said that they seemed to be at ease with each other, the kind of ease that grows over time. I asked Sam to describe the person, so I could be sure it wasn't who I thought it was. She just shook her head. Even though the divorce papers hadn't been processed yet, he was already moving on with his life, as if our marriage didn't matter. He used to say he couldn't sleep until he heard me say goodnight, but now he was going on romantic lunch dates with me while I still had my wedding ring on. To take my mind off of everything that was going on, I bought ice cream and went to the grocery store that night. Life chose to fuck me over instead, and there was Jordan with the same person from our house. My brain told me to leave with my Ben and Jerry's, but my feet had other ideas. Not the proudest thing I've ever done, but hey, we all do crazy things when our lives fall apart. They finally got to Memorial Park, where Jordan asked me to marry him during the winter festival. They were kissing on the same bench where we used to eat lunch together. I don't remember running away. I just remember being hyperventilating in my car when I got back there. But I couldn't leave it alone. I used Sam's phone because Jordan had blocked mine, which is pretty grown up, right? His answer when I called to ask about this person felt like another slap in the face. He was proud to tell me he was seeing them and that they were helping him get over his trauma. Stress? From what? Our movie nights and Sunday brunches? They are Naomi's family. That's right. Naomi was setting me up with a family member while I was being accused of cheating. Jordan was so rude to say that it was karma, as if starting a new relationship before our divorce was even final had something to do with things I had never done. The man who didn't like it when I had coffee with my best friend was now seeing a relative of his friend, and they came along just as our marriage was falling apart. After that call, I swore I was done with Jordan and all of his trouble. I deleted his number and stopped being friends with his family on social media, as you do after a breakup. But then I found something that made everything different. It turns out that Naomi's cousin Casey is pregnant, and all of a sudden, everything started to fit together. It makes sense that these things happened so quickly if Jordan got them pregnant and needed to end our marriage for good. It was very helpful that I was accused of cheating, just as he needed a way out. All of this is what I know, because I did something a little crazy after seeing them together that day. I followed Casey. I know, I'm becoming more and more like a detective these days. But they didn't go home. They went straight to Naomi's. I got stuck outside their window. Trust me, I know how that sounds, and heard parts of what they were saying. Soon, he'll find out about my child, and this will all be over. It turns out that surveillance isn't as clear in real life as it is in movies, especially when you're hiding behind someone's hydrangeas to avoid looking suspicious. But what I heard made my head spin. I'm now back at Sam's house, looking up at the ceiling and not sure what to do with this information. My marriage fell apart because I had male friends, but Jordan may have gotten someone else pregnant. If it weren't for my life, the irony would be funny. Have you ever dealt with something like this? Because I have no idea what to do here. Update 2. Hey everyone. I'm back with another update after what seems like the week that never ends. First, I want to say a big thank you for all the replies and messages of support on my last post. They kept me going through some really dark nights. I haven't been getting enough sleep lately. You know how sometimes at 3 a.m., your brain decides it's a great time to play back every moment of your failed marriage? Yes, that's how I normally do things. Your support, on the other hand, has kept me motivated to fight for myself instead of just staying in Sam's guest room and watching rom-coms all day. When you're trying to move on, life doesn't always go as planned. Anyone who read my last post knows that Casey is pregnant, and I thought it was Jordan's child. It made sense, right? Guy accuses faithful partner of cheating all of a sudden, moves on quickly with new partner, and partner finds out she's pregnant. It sounds like the plot of a bad Lifetime movie. The truth is even messier than I thought, though. This whole thing has more levels than the Christmas lasagna Jordan's mom used to make. That lasagna was always way too dry, but I didn't say anything because I was being nice. Some things didn't make sense about my first meeting with Casey. Everyone was acting like they were far enough along in their pregnancy that something important had to happen with Jordan right away, but they didn't show any signs. Not even the little things I noticed when my sister was pregnant. She didn't have a water bottle with her all the time or sit carefully. Nobody did any of those things. Something was wrong, like when you know someone is lying but can't prove it yet. So I decided to be a detective. Yes, I became that person who follows people around. This was not at all how I had planned to spend my time after we broke up. I asked a coworker for her car and told her I needed it to plan a surprise party. Then I followed Casey and Naomi around one afternoon. They checked at Valley View Maternity Clinic and were told Casey was indeed pregnant, but it was only for the first month. Given when they started dating, it didn't make any sense that this was Jordan's baby. They went to that new bistro downtown after their appointment. After waiting a few minutes, I walked in with sunglasses and a hat on, making me look like a spy from a bad movie, and got the table right behind them. When I insisted on sitting with my back to them, the host gave me a strange look. But hey, it was a tough time. That conversation I heard was worth all the awkward moments I had to fake being really interested in my menu for an hour straight. She wasn't just trying to end my marriage because she was crazy about Jordan. It turned out she was running a full-on scam with her relative. It looks like she has a lot of debt from failed investments and maxed out credit cards. She didn't get a financial advisor like a normal person would, so she came up with this whole plan. Casey was just a pawn in this game. They were going to trick Jordan into thinking that he got Casey pregnant while he was drunk, which never happened. Casey kept saying that Jordan was too nice to be manipulated in this way, which made the whole thing seem awkward. But Naomi, being the master manipulator that she is, kept pushing, saying that it was the only way to make sure they had enough money. Everyone found out about their plan over expensive pasta and wine. Casey wasn't drinking though, so at least they're sticking to the pregnancy act. They were going to wait until Casey was acting a little more sexy before telling Jordan that something happened between them one night when he was too drunk to remember. If you looked too closely, the timeline didn't make sense, but they thought Jordan would be too honest to question it. Naomi had a plan for everything. Jordan and Casey would be able to use his savings and the money he got from his grandfather last year once he got married. The gift we were going to use to buy our dream home with as a down payment. I was sitting there holding my water glass so tightly that I thought it might break while they talked about how to scam the person I still call my partner. Naomi wasn't just trying to take my partner. She was trying to take his whole future. There was something else that made me think this story couldn't get any stranger. Casey's ex-fiancé apparently broke up with them when he found out she was pregnant. So Naomi chose to use Jordan as a backup plan instead of dealing with that mess. Very classy. There's more, though. 3 days after I heard them talking, guess who shows up at Sam's door looking like they've lost their dog? Jeremy, in front of our favorite takeout and pleading with me not to sign the divorce papers. 2 weeks ago, that person wouldn't even look at me, but now they're talking about making peace and how much they still believe in us. Why this complete 180? Remember how I pretended to be interested in my phone while sitting in that restaurant? I wasn't just looking through Instagram, though. I was also filming everything. Yes, I know it's probably not the right thing to do, but we're in a tough spot. I told Jordan everything we talked about that night through email. He tried to deny it at first by saying I had faked the recording in some way, because apparently I'm a cheater and a pro at editing audio. But when he talked to them about it, things got really messy. Jordan has known Naomi since college and is now finally seeing how she really is. Really, she tried to make up a story about how she did everything for his own good, but it didn't work out very well. Casey finally gave in and told the truth. Jordan acted like a lawyer and told them he would sue them for slander and fraud. It turned out that the thought of having to pay damages they couldn't afford was enough to make them run away. These two people, who were so sure of their little plan, just disappeared when they realized it didn't work out. There was no big fight and no crying over their mistakes. But Jordan still tried to turn it around on me before all that. It was his idea that I changed the recording because I wanted him back so badly. He needed me to explain it to him. A very close friend and family member of his were trying to steal his inheritance and savings. The same cash we once talked about having to begin our family. He didn't see the truth for too long. Here's my problem, and I really need your honest thoughts on it. Jordan wants to make peace. He keeps sending me long texts saying he's sorry and that he should have trusted me, but I can't forget how quickly he betrayed me. We were married for 4 years, and he chose to believe Naomi's lies over my truth. He didn't even try to talk to me about what he thought. He just filed for divorce and kicked me out. Even though he was tricked, doesn't the way he reacted show how much he trusts me? Would you forgive someone for ending your marriage because of what his friend said? Happy Friday, everyone. This is the person whose partner almost left them for a fake pregnancy scheme, and this is their last update. If you're new to this soap opera, read through my old posts because the most recent one is crazy. I'm sorry I haven't been around for a month. I've been busy moving and just thinking about everything. I finally feel at home in my new apartment, which, by the way, has a great kitchen that Jordan would have hated. Suddenly, guess who comes knocking on my door looking desperate? Beth and Casey. After everything they did, these two were stupid enough to come to my place. But I didn't want to slam the door in their faces like most people would. I had a better plan. They were poor, desperate, and needed work, and my petty self saw a chance to get back at them. I hired them to clean my house, and I'm really trying not to laugh as I type this. People often say that the best way to get even is to serve it cold. Of course, mine came with cleaning supplies and a lot of good vibes. Let me explain how I found these would-be con artists and hired them to clean my house. I still can't believe these two were so daring as to show up at my door. Naomi, who planned for months to end my marriage, and Casey, who was ready to trick my partner with a fake pregnancy story, are just standing there like sad puppies. They were so cocky as to ask me to help them get Jordan to forgive them. Since he feels bad, he'll listen to you. Yes, because that's what you do when you mess up someone's life. You ask them for help. They told me over and over that they would do anything to make up for it. Something? That caught my eye. I had this lovely small thought while sitting in my half-unpacked apartment, still surrounded by moving boxes. There was one with all our wedding photos that I still haven't decided what to do with. I told them I might be able to help them if they worked as my personal housekeepers. You should have seen Naomi's face when she was told she could clean my toilets. This person used to act like they were too good to even sit at the same table as me. The best part? She needed it so badly that she couldn't even think. Do you remember how she used to brag about her expensive bags and brunches? Those same well-kept hands are now cleaning my floors. They both got up early the next day and looked like they'd rather be somewhere else. It's possible that I bought too many cleaning supplies, but hey, if you're going to get even, you might as well make it shine. I started to feel a little sorry for Casey because it was clear that they were just another person Naomi was using to get what she wanted. Naomi had been playing Jordan, and she had also been playing a family member and dragging them into this mess. I might have been extra picky about baseboards and window tracks after a week of deep cleaning because they were both about to break. Then came the day it all paid off. Casey dropped a bucket of water by accident, and it splattered all over Naomi's expensive shoes, which she probably bought with credit card debt. Then everything went off. My living room turned into a WWE ring all of a sudden. Naomi lost it, hitting Casey and yelling that it was all their fault, which was pretty funny coming from the person who planned the whole scam. Casey started hitting back when they finally got a backbone. After I mopped my floors, they were writhing around on them, pulling hair out, and yelling about who ruined whose life. The people who lived next door probably thought I ran a fight club. All of their secrets came out while they were fighting. Casey's credit cards were used by Naomi to steal money from them for years, and she tricked them into shady schemes long before the Jordan situation. It was fun to watch them fight for a minute or two, but I had to stop them because they were getting close to my new TV. I fired them right away and told them it was clear they weren't up to honest work. I smiled and told them they had 5 minutes to leave before I called the police when they begged for another chance. It was better to watch them run out of my apartment while still yelling at each other than any revenge I could have thought of. Keenan says that sometimes you need to let go. I finally made up my mind about what to do about Jordan. After getting so many texts begging and sorry, my phone was really going crazy. It was worse than when we were dating. I decided not to take him back. This person ended their 4-year marriage because a friend showed them pictures of me hugging coworkers. It wasn't even something they tried to talk about. They filed for divorce right away and kicked me out of the house. They did fall for Naomi's tricks, but she didn't make them instantly stop trusting their partner. I learned everything I needed to know about our foundation from how quickly they turned on me. The last thing I want to say is that I signed the divorce papers last week. Yes, the ones he first threw at me when he thought I was the bad guy. Still, Jordan calls and texts me about how we can get back together and how they'll make it up to me. Okay, but really? I'm fine. The weird angel figurines that his mom has that watch over my new apartment are no longer in every corner. I can watch reality TV without him complaining, and I'm sleeping better than I have in months. Making your enemies suffer isn't always the best way to get back at them. Sometimes moving on and doing well without them is. Thanks for being a part of this crazy journey. Your support kept me going when I wanted to give up. Here's one last question for you before I leave. Would you have taken him back? I guess I'm still thinking about this. The person I thought would be my partner in the future turned out to trust his shady friend more than his partner. But he was my best friend for a long time. Please let me know what you think, but please do it quickly as I have a date with a bottle of wine that won't judge me.